very warm welcome to Thorough Newspaper Analysis. Today is 20th of April and this video series is brought to you by LawSikho. Now, as far as the agenda for today is concerned, at the very beginning, we're going to have an understanding of some of the important national as well as international news updates. This is relevant for your exams where current affairs is a part of your syllabus. Now, this is going to be followed by a segment where we discuss important legal developments of the day. आज के लिए हमारे पास there are two legal updates for today, and lastly we have the editorial segment. आज के editorial का title है Key Supreme Court verdicts that moved the needle on LGBTQ rights. तो essentially यहाँ पर हम कुछ ऐसे सुप्रीम कोर्ट के जजमेंट्स की बात करेंगे जिन्होंने LGBTQ राइट्स के पूरा जो रेल्म है उसको शेप करने में एक मॉन्यूमेंटल रोल प्ले किया है, एंड जो अभी हमारे पास लीगल फ्रेमवर्क इन एग्जिस्टेंस है, कहीं ना कहीं ये कहा जा सकता है कि उसकी जो फाउंडेशन स्टोन है वो इन्हीं जजमेंट्स के द्वारा ले डाउन करी गई है. सो विद दिस लेट्स डाइव इनटू द TNA फॉर टुडे. द फर्स्ट अपडेट इन द नेशनल न्यूज सेगमेंट, इट इज कमिंग फ्रॉम द स्टेट ऑफ केरला. केरला अडॉप्ट्स वाटर बजट टू टैकल समर वाटर शॉर्टेज. तो देखिए, वाटर स्कैरसिटी या वाटर शॉर्टेज इसकी जो प्रॉब्लम है उसको एड्रेस करने के लिए केरला ने वाटर बजट अडॉप्ट किया है, एंड इट हैज बिकम द फर्स्ट इंडियन स्टेट टू डू सो. दिस प्रोजेक्ट इज गोइंग टू बी अनवील्ड इन सर्टेन फेजेस. अगर हम पहले फेज की बात करें तो इट इज गोइंग टू कवर 94 ग्राम पंचायत्स एंड 15 ब्लॉक पंचायत्स. नाउ अकॉर्डिंग टू गवर्नमेंट एस्टिमेट्स, the state has recovered hundreds of water bodies and it is going to use satellite data to assess the status of such water bodies in 230 gram panchayats, and this is going to be done in the third phase of the project. Moving on, next we have an update with respect to the likelihood of introduction of a new system of publishing daily currency exchange rates. So see, as far as the utility of this particular move is concerned, it is going to help capture daily exchange rate fluctuations, and it is going to help importers and exporters to precisely calculate customs duties based on daily exchange rate. Currently, the Central Board of Indirect Taxes and Customs, it manually notifies exchange rates of 22 currencies every fortnight, that is on first and third Thursday of the month, and this is done based on rates obtained from the State Bank of India. The rates notified comes into effect from the midnight of the following day. Moving on, this update is with respect to the World Surfing League event to be held in India for the very first time. So India is gearing up to host its first ever World Surf League match. This is going to be held at the UNESCO heritage town of Mamlapuram, which is situated around 50 kilometers from the capital city of Chennai in the state of Tamil Nadu. Moving on, this is with respect to the launch of Sangathan se Samridhhi by the government to mobilize 100 million women into self-help groups. The national campaign under Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav Samaveshi Vikas, it is aimed at mobilizing 100 million women from eligible rural households. It also aspires to bring all vulnerable and marginalized rural households under the fold of self-help groups so as to give them the benefit of the program. Moving on, this update is with respect to the Pravasi Bharatiya Samman, which has been conferred on Raj Subramaniam. Raj Subramaniam, who is the CEO of FedEx, which is a renowned global transportation company. He is an Indian American. He has recently been honored or conferred with the Distinguished Pravasi Bharatiya Samman Award. This award is the highest civilian recognition which is bestowed by India upon individuals of Indian descent and Indian diaspora. Moving on, this is also an important update. The Department of Personnel and Training, they have approved conducting the SSC MTS, which is multitasking non-technical staff examination for the year 2022, as well as the combined higher secondary level exam for the year 2022 in 13 regional languages. This is in addition to English and Hindi. This decision, it is expected to support millions of candidates and to enable them to take exam in their own mother tongue or regional language. This may improve their chances of getting selected. Now, before we proceed to the next update, which is in the segment of international news, I have a question. So which part of the Indian Constitution essentially deals with the segment of language and which provides for which language is the official language and whether different languages can be made official language for the states, different states, and if yes, what are the mechanisms for doing so? What is the commission, language commission or the language committee, and what is the function that these committees and commissions are required to perform? So I would like all of you to put down the part number, and also the articles, the range of articles from and to which provide or deal with this segment. Kindly put down your answers in the comment section. So moving on to the international segment, the first update is with respect to world's richest city. So America's New York City, it has been crowned the world's richest city with the most billionaires in the year 2023. New York, which is nicknamed as the Big Apple, it has 340,000 millionaires and 724 centimillionaires and 58 billionaires. Following New York City, we have Japan's capital Tokyo in the second position, and Tokyo is followed by San Francisco Bay Area. Now moving on to the next update. This is with respect to World Liver Day. So the World Liver Day, it is a global healthcare event which is commemorated every year on April 19th. This is done with the intention of raising awareness about liver diseases in the general public. The activities conducted on this Health Awareness Day, they are organized with associations of various international and local governing groups. As far as the theme for this year is concerned, it is be vigilant, do regular liver checkups. Fatty liver can affect anyone. The theme focuses on emphasizing the practice of regular liver checkups. And this has brought us to the legal segment for today. In the first update, while addressing the issue of whether employees who are working as supervisors at the Security Printing and Minting Corporation of India, which is essentially a company under the Ministry of Finance responsible for minting currency notes, so whether such supervisors, they are entitled to double overtime allowance as per Chapter 6 of the Factories Act of 1948. So while addressing this issue, a division bench of the Honorable Apex Court comprising Justices V. Subramaniam and Justice Pankaj Mittal, they were held that government servants, they are required to be at disposal of government at all times, and they cannot claim overtime allowance under the Factories Act. The name of this particular case is Security Printing and Minting Corporation of India Limited and others versus Vijay D. Kasbe and others. Moving on, and this has brought us to the editorial segment for today, the title of which is Key Supreme Court Verdicts That Move the Needle on LGBTQ Rights. So these are some of the important updates that we're going to have a look at. So see, sabse pehle to, if we get to the issue for today's article, then by now you would have understood it already. This is in reference to the ongoing hearing before the Honorable Supreme Court, Constitution Bench of the Honorable Supreme Court, seeking wherein a batch of petitions have sought legal recognition to homosexual marriages. So during the hearing before the Honorable Supreme Court, the court had heard arguments on the changing legal landscape of LGBTQ rights and the evolution of right to choose one's partner. So in light of this development, let's understand some of the key important judgments of the Honorable Apex Court जिन्होंने LGBTQ rights को shape किया है हमारे country में. तो देखिए, there was a case by the name of सुरेश कौशल versus Union of India. इस केस में सुप्रीम कोर्ट की एक डिवीजन बेंच मतलब जहाँ पे 2 जजेस होते हैं, सो 2 जज बेंच ऑफ द सुप्रीम कोर्ट, उन्होंने कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल वैलिडिटी ऑफ सेक्शन 377 ऑफ द आईपीसी उसको अपहेल्ड कर दिया था. Now months later, in April of 2014, came the case of the decision of this NALSA versus Union of India. NALSA versus Union of India, it affirmed the constitutional right of transgender persons under Articles 14, 15, 19 and 21 of the Indian Constitution. In NALSA, the court agreed with virtually the same argument that it rejected in the case of Suresh Kaushal, and court essentially it upheld the right of the transgender persons to decide their gender and directed the center and the state to grant legal recognition to their gender identity such as male, female or the third gender. The third gender was recognized in our country here. Now this is followed by the landmark case of case Puthuswamy versus Union of India, जिसे हम privacy judgment के नाम से भी जानते हैं. इस जजमेंट में essentially सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने ये करार दिया, और सुप्रीम कोर्ट rather pronounced right to privacy as one of the fundamental rights, which is enshrined in Article 21 of the Indian Constitution. And the CGI further held that right of LGBTQ to delve into privacy and dignity, it was an absolute right, and sexual orientation of a person, it is an essential component of one's identity. So sexual orientation, a choice to have an understanding of it, and also to have a physical manifestation of the same in the outer world, it is an essential component of one's identity. And identity and dignity, and also these are falling in the realm of privacy. This is what was the ruling of case Puthuswamy, and this is followed by another case by the name of Shafeen Jahan versus Union of India. Essentially इस केस में क्या हुआ था कि, and this is a 2018 ruling, right? इसमें केरला हाई कोर्ट के एक डिसीजन को सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने सेट असाइड कर दिया था, दैट annulled the marriage of a 24-year-old woman who converted to Islam and married a man of her choice. So essentially there was a 24-year-old woman, she converted to Islam and she married a man of her own choice. However, the High Court of Kerala, it annulled the marriage of the woman, and therefore the matter went before the Supreme Court. Supreme Court then reversed the judgment of the High Court of Kerala, and the court ruled that the ruling, it recognized the right to choose one's partner as a facet of the fundamental right to liberty and dignity. यहाँ पे मैं सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने कुछ इंटरेस्टिंग बात कही है. आई एम गोइंग टू रीड दैट आउट फॉर ऑल ऑफ यू टू अंडरस्टैंड इट. So the court stated that the choice of a partner, whether within or without outside marriage, it lies within the exclusive domain of each individual. Intimacies of marriage, it lie within a core zone of privacy which is inviolable. The absolute right of an individual to choose a life partner, it is not in the least affected by matters of faith. Social approval for intimate personal decisions, it is not the basis for recognizing them. तो essentially सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने यही कहा था कि the right to choose one's partner, चाहे वो किसी भी धर्म, जाति, जिससे भी facet के हो, it lies within the very core competence or autonomy of a person or an individual, and the society at large has no role whatsoever, be it the state or the family of the person, to dictate such a choice, and it is part of liberty and dignity of an individual. Now we have the case of Shakti Vahini versus Union of India. इस केस में essentially सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने कुछ गाइडलाइंस पुट फोर्थ करी थी इन ऑर्डर टू प्रिवेंट ऑनर किलिंग जो इंस्टेंसेस हो रहे थे परपेट्रेटेड बाय द खप पंचायत्स, thus furthering the fundamental right of one's being able to choose one's own life partner, जो कि यहाँ पर रूल किया था सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने, उसी को फर्दर करते हुए दिस वाज डन. And then we have the landmark judgment of Navdeep Singh Johar versus Union of India, जहाँ पे Supreme Court was hearing a curative petition, and while doing so, the bench held that the provisions of Section 377 of the IPC that criminalize homosexuality, it was unconstitutional, and hence it was struck down, recognizing the LGBTQ community as equal citizens of the nation. And lastly, we have the case of Deepika Singh versus Central Administrative Tribunal. यहाँ पे essentially हुआ क्या था? There was this woman, she took maternity leave for 2 of her non-biological children. So she had 2 non-biological children, and for the care and upbringing of the same, she took maternity leave. And when she conceived her own child biologically, then she went for a maternity leave. However, she was denied the same. तो यहाँ पर सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने लास्ट अगस्त में फिर डिसाइड किया इन फेवर ऑफ द वुमन who was seeking this, and while doing so, the bench ruling, it recognized atypical families, including queer marriages, which could not be confined to the traditional parenting role. तो यहाँ पर essentially कोर्ट ने जो atypical families है उनके कॉन्सेप्ट को हाईलाइट किया, एंड कोर्ट ने ये बोला था कि जो हमारी अंडरस्टैंडिंग है of the typical family, which has to have a father or a mother, and then there has to be a unit together with the children. So court said that may not be the reality of today's world, because there may be single parents owing to a lot of circumstances, divorcees or widows or other modalities as well. So that इस केस का essentially फिर जो the strength of it lies in recognizing atypical families which may not conform to the understanding of the traditional family unit that we have been having so far, and it also recognized the concept of queer marriages or the possibility of it. So with this, we have come to an end for the TNA for today. If you want to get access to the free study materials or the TNS slides that have been used in this particular video, I would encourage all of you to join our Telegram channel using the link which is provided in the description, और आप ये barcode भी scan कर सकते हैं. These are the point of contacts in case you want to get in touch with LawSikho. Also, the quiz based on yesterday's TNA, it is provided in the description of today's video. Kindly go ahead and attempt the same. Thank you for being with us.